Okay. Selectman Ekstrom.
I have no questions, thank you.
All right. Thank you for applying for the position. What made you apply for the position?
Over the last 3 years, town meeting is kind of, instead of improving, is kind of gone the wrong way. I don't expect a happy, everybody agree type of thing, but it's become very aggressive in tone. And town government, with a town meeting, is probably the purest form of government, and it's really nice to find a way to preserve that particular system. But the problem we have is either we have apathy or lack of interest, and we don't have a really substantial core of the residents of the town of Wareham coming to the meeting and voting. We have people who vote in the selectmen who have one opinion, and we have private interest groups that come when this particular thing's important to show up at the meetings. But the end result is we don't have really a overall theme that's the same. We're really at divergent ends. So the real reason for this is to find some way to put a system together where people actually will come and participate in their town government, which unfortunately is not happening.
Okay. Selectman Savageau.
Well, despite what you just heard, a charter review committee can discuss and forward to town meeting virtually any concept, any idea, any change, and the oath does not preclude that. In fact, the oath calls for the person to act in the best interest of the community with an open mind, and I hope that's what we will hear from people applying, that they will consider all points of view and keep an open mind, because, quite frankly, the Charter Review Committee has not a limited scope, but a very serious objective and responsibility to this community, and it's probably one of the most important appointments this board would ever make. So based on what I just said, help me understand what you feel. Have you read the charter? Good man. Why did I know you would have done that, Alan? Based on what you've read, based on your understanding of how all of our constituent parts work, town meeting, board of selectmen, FinCom, all the moving pieces, the form of government itself, our administrative function, the electoral system, and the appointment system. Based on all of that, can you give us not your conclusions, but your questions as to what areas of the charter you think should be visited and really studied as far as providing an effective form of government?
I'll do that. Just one thing to go back. When I read the charter basically says that the committee is going to make recommendations which go to the board. Therefore, I didn't really understand the previous person, where he said you couldn't do this, you couldn't do that. My opinion is that if there is no way that we can take what exists and modify the system with the times as they change, then maybe we have to look at another form of how the town government works. We maybe end up having to have like districts with representatives from a district. There's different things we can look at and do. We just can't, say that, okay, town meeting doesn't work anymore, that's it, throw it out. It would be nice to, as I said before, to find a way to keep it there. We have some areas in which personnel are handled. We have some areas in the town charter about how we pay or budgets, and then there's a corresponding area where basically the town administrator has overall control. There's areas of gray. And when you have areas of gray, you have some problems as far as how things work function-wise. But it really, to me, goes back to the participation of the town. Whatever government we have has to represent everybody in the town.
Well, you're right. Your recommendations go to the board, but ultimately it goes to town meeting, and ultimately it goes to the ballot.
Correct.
So every voter in the community would have an opportunity to vote on whatever substantive changes there are. So I have no clue what that litany of restrictions was about, but I can tell you that there is legal process, and obviously we'd all want to follow it.
The charter says that also.
Yeah, but many communities have faced the question and have followed the procedure properly, apparently, because the AG certainly approved their change. So you answered my question. I thank you for stepping up to serve.
And Falmouth has actually done what you said. They changed from a town meeting, and they made a move, and it hasn't really worked well, but the other towns have gone back and forth. It's a very difficult answer.
I'm not at all convinced that we need to lose our concept of town meeting, but I am convinced that we need to have a serious dialogue about it.
I agree with you.
Selectman Cronin?
Well, Alan, good to see you again. I haven't talked to you in a while.
At least a day or two.
Simple question. I was just curious. In your opinion, is this charter outdated?
It needs to be tweaked and moved if we're going to continue with the town meeting system. As I said before, we need to modify some things. If we're going to change how we govern ourselves, then the town charter needs some drastic change. So it's not a simple answer, yes or no. It depends on how we're going to run the government. Are we going to stay with the town meeting, or are we going to change?
Okay, well, then I guess in that context, what I would add is to critically think through the whole document and decide what's in the best interest of the town. A good question that should come up is, you know, how did the role of volunteers work in the current government, and how much can you rely on volunteers? And the same goes for town meeting. And you talked about cross-section, where you don't get a cross-section of what's really there in the population of the town. I think those things have to, you know, need to be, good questions need to be brought up about that and reviewed.
It's important. If we don't have representation from every part of the town, you don't get a true fix. And you get like a win-lose situation, and that always ends up, you know, there's no good end to it. You know, and I'm involved in a lot of different committees, obviously, as you know, and it's interesting to see the interaction of each committee, how each one functions differently and has, you know, different attitudes as far as how the government works here, and how we really don't meet together and we don't talk together, which is another real problem. And we end up doing work on top of each other. It's not productive.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Much.